All right, we're back. I hope everybody had a fun holiday as much as you can. I know some of us weren't able to, and I just hope that those of us who could made the most out of it, and those of us who couldn't made the most out of it. But anyway, today's video is inspired by a conversation I had with one of my friends who's on his way to starting his own business, which I think could wind up being a very successful business. We were talking, and he was explaining to me that he was feeling a little bit overwhelmed because he said that he couldn't determine how he was going to find all the people he needed to do all the things he needed to do. And I said, well, how much of this have you already attempted? Oh, well, that's going to be too hard. I'm not going to be able to pick up on any of that stuff. I need to find a way to, find people that can. And I explained to him that I had initially said the same thing years ago, but I decided to try some things myself. And I explained that if I hadn't have tried a lot of what I've done myself, I probably never would have got to where I got. So that inspired today's video. So today's video is going to be about trying everything yourself first before finding additional resources. And I think it's really important. So I'm going to explain a little bit about how I started in one area not knowing anything about what it was I was doing. I didn't really understand the technicalities. I didn't understand the mechanics of putting things together. And the things that I know now, and how I've surprised myself with what people can learn from dedicating the right amount of time and putting in the time to search and read and watch educational videos. It really does add up to more than you probably think, even if you feel like you can't do it at all. So years ago, when I got started designing a telescope, when I decided that I wanted to build a better task management system, I did not know the difference between a front end and a back end. I didn't know the difference. I didn't even know what they were. And, I started there not really knowing the difference between the two. And I can remember when I wound up building my first web server, it took me 3 weeks because I ran into a problem, which to this day is very unusual, but it just took a very long time to find an answer to that problem because I didn't know how to phrase the search correctly when I was all over Google trying to find an answer. So 3 weeks it took me to route things through to connect to my web server on AWS. And that's a very long time to spend doing something. That's a very long time to spend doing something very simple. Now I could rebuild a web server from scratch and build a complete new image of the product. I could do it in about 35 minutes now. And that's really just waiting for everything to boot up. So my lesson was try everything yourself first. Now, for example, I can build a website, an SEO optimized website. I can keep majority of that site in the green for SEO, accessibility, performance, best practices. And I didn't know any of this at all when I started. And if you try everything yourself, even if something seems impossible, within a fairly short amount of time, you'll usually find out whether or not this is something you can learn and get better at and do, or if you're just constantly hitting a wall and then you need to bring in outside help. For example, I tried hard coding for a while, and it was something I could just never pick up. It was something I wasn't good at, and I put what I think was a very serious amount of effort into it. I took classes, I did a lot of reading, but I couldn't really pick up on it. And marketing is the next thing. That's always been difficult. And I've tried both of them, and then when there were things that I felt like maybe I'm just not really wired for that, then I went and I got help for it. But there were plenty of other aspects to the project that I thought I would never be able to be good at. And with enough time invested and enough learning, really putting in the work to adapt to different aspects that I needed to pick up on in order to make things work, I surprised myself with what I am able to do. And I think most of us are able to do 95% of the work we need to do to get a business off the ground ourselves. And if it's just you, or if you have a co-founder, or if there's several of you, it's good to really sit down and ponder what it is that you think, or what each of you think you can do, or you're interested in doing, or what you just overall think you might have a skill in doing or a talent in doing, and really let it sink in before you go to say, oh, we need to bring in all these other people, this is something we can't do. More so than often, especially with a lot of other people that I've talked to about this that have been in similar situations, more so than often you'll surprise yourself with what you can do. And you won't see a lot of that in the beginning. In the beginning, there's a lot of things that are going to seem impossible, but just know that it's worth putting in the time to try even the things you think you can't do, because you're probably going to find out that chances are you can do them, and you can wind up being very good at them if you put the time in. So, in conclusion, trying everything yourself first can save you a ridiculous amount of money. It might cost you some of your time. It might cost you a good amount of time, but it can still save you a lot of money in the end, and it can make things go a little bit faster if you put in the time to learn as much as you can in the beginning, and you are always benefiting from that learning experience. So there is still value in that. There's even value in differentiating from what you really don't think you're cut out for versus what you discover you're really good at. So put in the time, try everything yourself first. You'll be surprised at how much you can accomplish yourself, even if it doesn't look that way in the beginning, I promise. So anyway, that's today's video. Yeah, if you want to discuss anything, comment, let me know, and I'll talk to you guys later.